This Denver Broncos player is having an unexpected breakout performance in training camp in the preseason, and if he keeps this up, he might force the team to make some tough decisions. During the offseason, the Broncos made a move that kind of went under the radar, especially amongst all of their big free agent signings. They signed veteran wide receiver Trent Sherfield to a 2-year, $6 million deal. At the time, they had just lost Tremon Smith, who was a special teams ace for them, and I figured, okay, he's going to come in and basically be the new Tremon Smith. This is Sherfield's sixth team in as many seasons. He was most recently with the Minnesota Vikings. He was a draft pick back in 2018 by the Arizona Cardinals. And in Minnesota last year, he was a special teams guy. He barely saw any playing time on offense. So I figured, okay, Sherfield is going to come in. He's going to be the new Tremon Smith. He's probably not going to see much playing time on offense. In fact, when I did my wide receiver deep dive video back in July, I kind of glossed over Trent Sherfield and barely talked about him because I didn't think he was going to be a contributor on offense whatsoever. Then training camp happened, and every single day Trent Sherfield would go out there and make a big catch over the middle or some crazy play, and he'd pop up in my notes. I started to be like, who's this Trent Sherfield guy? I mean, I knew who he was, but is this guy maybe somebody we could see as a contributor on offense? I didn't think much of it as well because we had all the depth at receiver, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, who was breaking out in his own right. Then you've got Devon Vele still on the roster as well, Pat Bryant, who you just drafted. So I kind of was like, all right, Trent Sherfield, he's making plays, but he's probably still not going to be a contributor on offense. Well, now, as he continues to stack days out there, and after having a really strong performance in the preseason game against the Niners, I might have to rethink things a little bit. Trent Sherfield might carve himself out a legit role on offense. Additionally, he might force the Denver Broncos to have a surprise player on the inactive list. But before we talk about that, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Trent Sherfield's film from that game against the 49ers, just so we can get a visual display of what I'm talking about here. Let's get into it. These first two plays are going to show just how much Sherfield can be a threat for you in the deep passing game, and that's not something that I expected coming into the year. So on this first one, he's going to be running a corner route from the bottom of the screen, does a good job taking that inside release on the corner, and it looks like quarter, half coverage right there. So he's got space to work with in the void in the zone coverage. This is the area where you attack this kind of coverage. And you're going to see here that this safety is not going to have time to close in. So this is wide open right here. Sherfield does a really good job running the route and getting himself open. And right there, Stiddy puts it on him. Great job right there. I know people are going to say, it's wide open. Yes, it is wide open, but he has a really good release against press coverage off the line of scrimmage. He doesn't let the corner jam him and throw off the timing of his route. He does a really good job right there of selling his route and then heading to the corner. And it puts that safety in a bit of a bind right there, and the safety crashes in, but it's too late. The ball's already complete. So that's a really good job from a route running perspective with Trent Sherfield, which I was not expecting coming in at all. And then really nice job dragging the toes to boot for the catch. Nice stuff right there all around from both Jarrett Stidham and Trent Sherfield on this play. So this one's going to be the deep touchdown, and I want you to pay attention to the subtleties in his route running right here. Sherfield at the bottom of the screen. He's got off coverage, and he's going to do a really good job right here with this step right here to sell that he's potentially going to break either to the outside or to the inside, and it puts this corner in a bind. It causes him to flip his hips, and currently he's got his butt to the field, and he's in a really bad position here. And at this point, Sherfield is able to stack on him, and the corner's already trailing. He's already lost the reps. So really good job selling his route and getting open right there. And then Jarrett Stidham, man, credit to him. He leads him on that throw. That is a dime of all dimes right there by Jarrett Stidham. But Sherfield did an excellent job getting open on that route, just with that little head bob, that little foot placement there, and it causes the corner to be in a trail position, and Sherfield just runs right by him, and Stiddy drops a dime in the end zone. That is a gorgeous play right there. And those two back-to-back plays show that Sherfield can be a threat for you outside the numbers in the deep passing game. He had a lot of really nice plays over the middle of the field in training camp, but we didn't really see a whole lot of stuff outside the numbers. I'm really happy to see it here in this game because that just shows an even more expanded route tree for Sherfield than I thought we were going to see even after training camp when he started to break out. So Sherfield, man, he is playing awesome right now. So this one here is going to be his final catch of the day, and it does at least give you an idea of some of that middle of the field playmaking ability. He's going to be running a route over the middle of the field here on a drag route. You're going to see that Stiddy's not going to find him until he's towards the sideline, but still, he's able to run these middle of the field drag routes, crossing routes, stuff like that really well. That's what I expected to see from him in this game. And Stiddy puts it right on him, and he turns upfield and gets some yards after the catch to boot. So Sherfield's been doing a really good job of getting those yards after the catch in training camp. Stiddy again puts it right on him right there. So that is a little bit of an example of what he's been doing in training camp, but those other two plays I wasn't expecting coming into this game, so a really pleasant surprise in my opinion. So I said earlier in the video that Trent Sherfield might force the Broncos to make some tough decisions. That tough decision might be Devon Vele, who was basically your wide receiver 2 last year. He hasn't played well at all in training camp. It looks like he's dealing with some sort of injury. And it seems that he's gotten surpassed on the depth chart by Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Trent Sherfield, and Pat Bryant. I'm not saying that Devon Vele is not going to make this team, but with Trent Sherfield playing as well as he is, Vele might be the inactive wide receiver on game day. I've already talked about how I think inactives are stupid. If you're on the 53-man roster, you should be able to play. But that's league rules. You have to have a certain amount of inactive players. And Vele might be the guy who ends up being inactive. And I never thought I'd say that heading into training camp. But he hasn't played well, and Sherfield's been awesome, Pat Bryant's been awesome, Troy Franklin's been incredible, and Marvin Mims is continuing to grow and get better, and it seems like he's settling in quite well as the wide receiver too. So I don't know, man. I think that Trent Sherfield has forced the Denver Broncos to rethink their overall philosophy in this wide receiver room, and right now, I would say that Trent Sherfield is an upgraded version of Little Jordan Humphrey. He might do some of the same things that Little Jordan Humphrey did, but in terms of like that inline blocking receiver, you've got Pat Bryant, who was a master at that at Illinois. So Devon Vele, who kind of filled that tweener role between Tim Patrick and Little Jordan Humphrey's role, I don't know, man. He might not have a role on this offense this year. Not saying that he's going to be inactive every single game, and not saying that Devon Vele isn't going to make this team. Once again, I believe he will, but this is tough, man. It's a good problem to have, though. I'm going to make a video later about just the sheer depth that the Broncos have and how they've got some really tough decisions to make, but you'd much rather make these tough decisions than have a really crappy roster and have 4 or 5 undrafted free agents make it like we saw in 2023. So this team's come a long way, man, and they are forced to make some tough calls in terms of constructing this roster. Alright, Broncos country, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And let me know in the comments section below, guys, do you think Trent Sherfield is going to be a playmaker on offense, or do you think once the season comes and things settle down, he's just going to be a special teams guy for this team? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, guys, please consider becoming a channel member today. You can do so by clicking the link in the description below. It's not mandatory, but if you want to help me out and help grow the channel, you can do so, again, by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, guys, and until next time, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.